stand. Thank you for having me at your girls' conference. I'm very pleased to be here. Very thankful to God. Have another flight out, but I wanted to be here because I think it is essential, I know it to be essential, that we support our girls, that we support our youth, that our women support our men, and that our men support our women, and that all of us support our children. Somewhere along the line, please say with me, somewhere along the line, things get lost.
Things get lost.
Will you tell each other that?
Somewhere along the line. Somewhere along the line.
They don't have to be lost,
They don't have to be lost.
but they can get lost.
But they can get lost.
So I talked today in this girls' conference on, can you see it? Can you see it? Somewhere along
The line. Things get lost. They don't have to. They don't have to get lost.
Can you see it?
Can you see it?
Can you see it?
Can you see it?
I'm asking.
Yes.
You see what's in my hand?
No.
Can you see what's in my hand?
No.
You can because you have a closer view. I have in my hand what? Grains of salt. Can you see it?
No.
It matters where you stand. It matters where you look. I am reminded of Madame Curie. She's the first woman to be admitted as a professor in a French university. Madame Curie is the first woman to be admitted to be awarded the Nobel Prize in science. She's the only person to date who's been awarded 2 Nobel Prizes. She was very studious, came from Poland, went to study and worked in France, and she was working with radiation. But she did not know what was actually happening because what she was dealing with, they kept wondering, she and her husband, what happened to the compound that they were dealing with. She couldn't see until at night. She noticed something glowing in the night and noticed that it was giving off radiation. Many people think that this is how she came to die because she did not know the power that was in the radiation. She did not know that it was radiating. It had not been discovered. She's the discoverer. So as they talked about it, some people began to see what they couldn't see before. Let's ask another question. How many of you have ever seen a picture of or have been to the pyramids of Egypt? You've seen pictures of it?
Yes.
Has anybody been there? Have you flown over it to see it? But we do know they exist.
Yes.
You hear them on the television. And aren't we in an advanced society? We're in a very advanced society. We can put people on the moon. But no one has been able to build another pyramid. The scientists, the engineers, no one. They don't even know how that was done. They can't even figure out how those rocks were done that way. They do not know. Because sometimes things get lost. There can be a knowledge of something that can exist, and time can go on, and things can get lost. Things can get lost. If you're not paying attention, the very things that make you exist can get lost. St. Augustine, great writer, was talking with the Catholic Church, and one of the popes said, no longer can the church say, silver and gold have we none. And he responded, and no longer can the church say, take up your bed and walk. So what's the exchange you're making? So now you have your gold and your silver, but you do not have your power spiritually. Can anyone see this? And I still have grains of salt in my hand. If it were not unsanitary, I'd let you lick it. But when I lick it, can you believe me?
Yes.
I still taste the salt. You have some salt on your table. Could you just do that example? Not a whole lot, just a grain, if you can, all over the house. Will you just do that? And just see if any of those grains still taste like salt. Does it? It still has a taste? Yes. Then so should you still have the taste of Christ. That no matter how it gets, no matter how big the hand gets, no matter what the situation you're in, you still maintain your savor. Wherever you go, however you go, you still maintain your savor. I have an example here that I thought of yesterday. When Christ took the way, he took the way of struggle. So that there's nobody in the world who could say, well, you know, you don't know what it means, God, to go through what we go through. And he says, I know what it means to suffer. I know what it means to be beaten. I know what it means to be killed. I know what it means to not to be believed after you've worked great and wonderful things. Can anyone see this? Yes. Can you see this? Yes. But sometimes things get lost. Yes, things get lost, and you wonder, where did my belief go? Can anybody in here remember the first time that we know of Jesus going to a church? And it's documented. He went all of his life to the feast. But at a certain age, something happened. Can anybody remember that? He was what? 12. He was 12. He was 12. The next time we hear about him, he's 30. So in those 18 years, what do you think? If I noticed you, and if I noticed you, and I saw that you had potential when you were 12, what do you think I'll look for when you're 30? I shouldn't look for anything?
Yeah.
If he is questioning the doctors and the lawyers and made up his mind at 12 years old, and he's remained behind when his parents went back home, and he was left in another city, what would you expect? If you see potential in someone when she's 12, when you expect, what would you expect at 30? What would you expect at 18? What would you expect at 21? So, can you see this? Why is it that some of the things we see with all the potential at 12, we fail to see at 18, 19, and 20? The pyramids can be seen from the plane. I was flying thousands of miles up, and I saw the pyramids. Nobody can make another pyramid like that. They tried to duplicate it in Rome, and I've been there to see that. Nobody can make another one like that. Madame Curie, a woman that many women don't talk about, did some great and marvelous things. The only person to date to receive 2 Nobel laureates. So what potential did you show us when you were 5? And what potential is this child showing at 6? And what did your daughter show you at 3? Were you wise builders to build on that and expect that if they're talking with the elders at 12, just maybe, they will be the ones to discover the cure for cancer or to pray for it. Just maybe, if we don't forget. 18 years I would expect a difference to happen. I look at another story which I'll only bring to you briefly. When God had a plague to come upon Egypt and commanded that they let his people go, one plague was locusts. I don't know if any of you have ever seen documentaries on the locusts when they're swarms. When the locusts fly in, the grasshoppers, when they fly in, everything that's green is left bare. They come in by the billions. And they light and they eat everything in their path. There is nothing left. Nothing. So when the plague hit Egypt of the locusts, nothing green was left. And you would ask the question, so why did they want to return? Because when they left, nothing was left. But what? Things what? Things get lost. People tend to forget. They get lost. And when things get lost, you will actually go back to something that's not worth a thing. People have done that for boyfriends. As I close, I think of the great tsunami that hit in the Indian coast. You remember that? And the tsunami came up and destroyed many things. It took down buildings. Can you imagine a wave as tall as this building? That's what tsunamis look like. And that wave came in and destroyed. But there's something that was noted. No elephants or large animals died. Just days before the tsunami hit, the animals started going to high ground. Yes, yes. They went to high ground. The elephants, somehow they sensed something. And they went to higher ground. And so when the tsunami came, it destroyed people who were on the beaches who didn't even notice the various foam and the things that were happening in the water. They weren't noticing because they weren't aware of their surroundings. When you're not aware of your surroundings, things get lost. When you're not aware of what can happen to you, things can break through on you to such a degree that you lose where you're going, thinking you're knowing where you're going, and you don't know where you're going because you've forgotten where you've been. And things get lost. Can anybody see this? Can anybody see this? if we